Hey guys, and welcome back to the Simple Car Guy channel. BMW 5 Series is one of the most popular luxury sedans on the market, and I've had the pleasure of owning this one for over 4 years. Welcome to my 4-year ownership journey with the BMW 550i, where I will talk about how and why I bought it, problems over the years, some of the mods I've done, and why I've had it for such a long time. And finally, why I sold it. If you like this video and you would like to support this channel, you don't have to buy anything or even listen to sponsored content. Just hit that like button. Anyway, about 4.5 years ago, I was driving a 2009 BMW 335i Coupe, and I was looking to upgrade to a BMW 435i M Sport. It was a logical choice as both were a two-door sports car with a 3-liter turbo engine. Great design and very sexy curves. I visited all of the dealers in my area, and there were practically no second-hand cars at that time. And the only ones I found were very overpriced coupes that didn't have the options I wanted, and the salespeople that didn't seem interested in selling me the car. There was one guy though that seemed more interested in talking to me about cars rather than just trying to sell me a car, and he offered me to drive any car I wanted on the lot. So I did. We jumped into a few cars and most were great, but I was really impressed with this 470 something horsepower and lots of torque from this N63 V8 engine in this BMW 550. It was smooth, comfortable, and pulled harder than it had any right to for being such a big 4-door sedan. I never looked or even driven a 5 Series until this time, and I was impressed. The car only had 34,000 miles and all of the options you could imagine. We'll talk about those later in the video. I offered him $5,000 less than what they were looking for, and after some negotiations, I worked out a deal, as well as a set of 4 brand new run-flat tires to boot. Of course, BMW V8s are not known to be the most reliable, and at the time, I didn't really have a space or a garage that I could wrench on the car in if something were to happen, so I was a little worried. Luckily, the car came with a little over a year of warranty. I never needed that warranty, and honestly, this was one of the most reliable cars I have ever owned. Here is everything I've had to do to the car over the years. I changed the oil every 5,000 to 6,000 miles. I changed the rear brakes and later the front brakes once. And I replaced the spark plugs and coils after a misfire when I did a hard pull on the highway. Luckily, I didn't have any high pressure fuel pump issues, injector, or any other kind of oil leaks or anything like that. All of those problems that people bring up when they hear BMW N63 engine. I've made a video on problems to expect on these cars, and if you watched it, you'll know that the problems are mostly on the pre-LCI 2013 or older versions of this car. Whether it was luck or I just did a decent job in maintaining this car and not beating on it too much over the years, it obviously has been very reliable for me. So was that the reason why I kept the car for so long? Well, usually I get bored of a car after a couple of years, I sell it, get something different. But in this case, this car just had too much to offer and it never felt outdated even after 4 years. Not only was this car powerful even by today's standards, it had a very smooth power delivery. Felt absolutely planted and stable at high speeds and handled road trips better than any other car I've ever been in. What I loved the most about it though was how understated it was. I love flashy cars as much as the next guy. I mean, I have a blue BMW Z4, but there is something about a car that looks like a big old boat but performs on par with a lot of sports cars. Using launch control, it can do close to 4 seconds 0 to 60 and around 4.5 seconds for regular start. If you remember that this car weighs around 4,400 pounds, has space for 5 people and a few suitcases, features like heads-up display, comfort access, the soft closing doors, 18-way adjustable seats, and you can even open the trunk with your foot, it becomes obvious why I would keep this car for so long. Part of keeping the car understated, but also giving it a little bit of attitude and removing some of the mid-level manager feel of the car was to add a few mods. I didn't touch any performance modifications on this car as I wanted to keep it as reliable as possible, and I was happy with the amount of power it had anyway. One of my pet peeves though on modern cars is fake chrome and those orange reflectors. The first thing I did was replace the chrome kidney grills, and shortly after the orange reflectors with gray ones, which I think fits the car much better. In fact, this was my first video that I posted on this channel, even before I thought of becoming a YouTuber. You can say that this simple mod started me on this YouTube journey and gave me confidence to continue working on cars. Over the next few years, I blacked out the chrome pieces on the bumper, on the side of the car, and even on the door handles. Adding a spoiler to the trunk and tinting the windows completed the look I was going for. One other item I would definitely recommend upgrading on the interior would be the navigation system. I added CarPlay functionality to modernize the car and bring it into this decade. Thinking back on this, I do wish I would have gotten better wheels for it and maybe put a sporty exhaust. But it would have also ruined that entire understated feel of the car that I tried to maintain. Now comes the big question. Why did I sell this car that I liked so much? I wish I had a very elaborate and cool story to tell here, but honestly it was mostly because I haven't been driving it since the pandemic started. Back when I was commuting 50 to 60 miles every day, this car made perfect sense. It was luxurious, comfortable, fast, and just entertaining to drive. But now just watching it sit there for days at a time, not being driven, just didn't make sense to me, and she had to go to a better home. Of course, the fact that the prices are way higher than I could have even sold it 2 years ago, and the fact that I have 3 other vehicles at home made the decision a little bit easier. Overall, these are still a great deal in my opinion, as long as you know how to take care of them and maintain these beasts. I really do hope the future owner enjoys and cherishes the car as much as I have over the years. This, of course, brings up another question. What will I get next? Well, since it doesn't look like I will be going back to the office for at least another half a year, I will most likely keep driving what I have and keep getting better in the snow in my rear-wheel drive Z4. I also like the idea of a BMW i3 and just how quirky and weird it is, but eventually I will need a vehicle that's gonna be good in winter basically. BMW Z4 is my current main ride, and as fun as it is in the snow, it's not very good once we have over a few inches. I would love to hear your recommendations on what I should get next. Should I go for the BMW M550i, maybe a 6 Series, or should I be looking into a Porsche maybe? Leave your comments down below. With all of that said, I'm sad to see my BMW 550i go, but more fun and fast cars to come in my future. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.